Hey guys, it's me, David, and you guys are about to watch something really awesome. It's a LEGO Star Wars panel right here at Star Wars Celebration 2017. This LEGO Star Wars panel was very different than any other one I've been to. They actually go into very specific details on how LEGO Star Wars sets are made. And in a particular LEGO Star Wars set, you'll see in a couple minutes that they go through the entire process, every step in terms of creating from the very moment you see it on Star Wars, you see it on screen, to when it goes on its shelf. It is an amazing panel. I think a lot of you will be like, wow, I didn't know that. From this, I know I came out like that. So without ado, let's go ahead and take a look at that. And also I want to make a quick point that there was one point I had to take the camera and turn it off. It was just a little clip of the Freemaker Adventures. That clip gets released on May the 4th, so it's not even a big deal. Everything else from the panel is in this video, so without ado, let's go.
And the call came in. I didn't pick up the phone, and they told me that I got the job, and I was kind of shaking. I was taking down all the notes on like how to get there, directions, when to be there, what time, what to wear, and I still have that piece of paper today to save that. Aww. It's like one of my most prized possessions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've been with LEGO for a very long time, longer than some of you have probably been alive. Right around 2001, I was assigned to the Star Wars project, so I helped out with Star Wars in the beginning. One of the first projects I ever worked on was a 1999 Toy Fair invitation. But around 2001, they hired me on full-time, or actually they transferred me over to the design team, and I took over package design. And then by roughly 2009, I'd become the senior art director in charge of all creative development for the LEGO Star Wars line. So I was designing packaging, TV commercials, responsible for putting together point of purchase or in-store packages, and then all the communication development. And then
all the Star Wars.
A couple pictures down there. It's me in the Lucasfilm archives, and my daughter Natalie, who's here in the audience. She's a huge Star Wars fan. Woo! We're a big Star Wars fan. Enough about me.
Archives, though, man.
It was like on the house.
Yes,
getting walk around and see the props. It was incredible. But again, enough about me. I just want to give you a quick background on who I am. So what you see here, is the list of who's who on the LEGO Star Wars team. All of these individuals here, you'll see the column on the left under the Danish flag there. That's our product design team. Some of those guys were supposed to be here with me today, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. In the center, under that American flag there, you see our internal agency. Those are all of our 2D and 3D artists. And then on the right-hand side, you'll have a column there of all of our markers. So all these people are responsible for bringing LEGO Star Wars to life. Year over year. And then what a Star Wars campaign consists of is more than just a product that you're purchasing. For 2017, we have 32 products. There's 9 buildable figures. There's co-promotion products. There's going to be 5 television commercials, 13 print ads, all these product animations, web content, short form and long form TV episodes, all coming out in 3 launch waves. So this gives you an idea of what goes into creating an entire year's worth of product for the LEGO Star Wars.
May I ask, as you have this plan, how far back, when are you starting work on your 2017 campaign?
Anywhere between 1 and 2 years out. So depending on whether or not it's a movie year, we'll have to try to start even earlier, getting reference materials.
I feel like that's tricky because secrets in Star Wars are a bit of a thing.
Lucasfilm is very protective of all of that, so it makes it a bit of a challenge, but it's fun. We make it work. And then keep in mind that what you see here represents the total LEGO portfolio. So while that's all going on for Star Wars, that's happening for each and every one of these other lines. So there are thousands, literally thousands of people working very hard to bring you all the LEGO products that you know and love. But today, we're just going to focus on LEGO Star Wars, so let's jump into product design. Okay, this is something that very few people outside the company have seen. This is our product development building in Billund, Denmark. For those of you who don't know, LEGO is a Danish company that's based out of Billund, Denmark. The photo on the left there is the actual, a small section of the Star Wars product development area. Photography is strictly forbidden inside this building. I worked very hard to get this picture for you guys. You can see there's a bottle case there with some products on there. A few of those are just concept products that have never made it to life in the lower left-hand corner, you can see a guy sitting there behind that star. He's one of the product designers. This is all they let me show you, but it's more than pretty much anyone else has ever seen.
It's nice. I feel like a secret Lego agent is going to come and shut it down. It's beautiful. That office is so
very, very Danish,
and
very,
conducive
very clean, very, nice environment to work in. Actually, in that top right-hand corner, that is a stainless steel slide. So you
Wait,
can actually,
what? I thought it was just a decorative architecture.
No, that's a functioning slide. You can, instead of taking the stairs down, you can actually take the slide down. I've taken it many times myself.
So I want to petition for one of those in this stage at the next celebration. It's probably not a safety hazard.
We won't touch it. As long as they're legal here. All right, so let's take a look at the step we're going to be taking you through today. So the product designers and the graphic designers and I all thought that we'd focus on one particular set to show you what goes into taking that set from concept to store shelves. And we all thought that Rey Speeder would be a great example. Rey is a very, very cool, very iconic new character in the Star Wars franchise. She's one of my favorites, and her speeder is just a really, really cool model. So what we'd like to do is show you where it all started. This is an actual sketch that one of the product designers did when he was out at, I believe it was Pinewood Studios. Our product designers get to go to see where they're filming these movies. They get to see the sets and the models. That's because Lucasfilm is very protective of the assets, their reference material. They don't want to give that out for fear that it might.
It's a risk, sure.
It's a big risk. So these guys have to go and.
I have to go in person, I guess.
I know. I'm still trying to go. They won't let me go.
It's not fair.
But yeah, what you see here is a sketch that was made off of the actual prop model that the designer did, and then took it back to Villain and then started designing. And if you look at some of the notes here, this is cowboy-like saddle, brown, rocket engines, red front bit, side was rounded like Luke's land speeder. And it is true, if you look at this ship from the side, it is very reminiscent of Luke's land speeder. They definitely drew from that ship when they created this ship for Rey. So this is where it started. And this is a sketch model. Now I know it doesn't look like much, but what you see here is what our product designer Nils started with. Now, what they're doing here is they're just looking to try to capture the shape and the form of the model. They don't want to just nail it like right away. What we need to do is ensure that we find the right balance between accuracy and buildability. We want to make sure that this isn't too complicated to build for our core target audience, which is boys and girls between the ages of 6 and 9. But we want to make sure that it's a fun and challenging build for older fans as well. So these guys have, I wish you could see this, they have drawers upon drawers upon drawers of Lego
like
bricks.
physical bricks, or this is a digital
This is all physical. And
that sounds like heaven.
it's awesome. If you think I have a cool job, these guys have the coolest job.
I with Lego bricks all day.
They get paid to do it. So yeah, they'll just start rebuilding, trying to get the shape down. Some vehicles are very, very technical and angular. Some are more organic. So these guys will experiment with different methods and different bricks on how to achieve those angles and shapes that they're looking to get. And then as they move along, they get a little bit closer. This is still in the sketch model phase. You can see that the nose has been more rounded and refined. They're adding more details like the engine and the back. And even some little shooters down there on the bottom.
We're getting even closer now, but you can definitely see the shape of the speeder.
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of it is like finding the pieces that kind of communicate, because obviously your goal here isn't screen accurate. You know, you can't do that with Lego.
It's not going to be 100%, but we try to get it as close
As
as
close,
we can. And
yeah.
I think these guys do a fantastic job.
They absolutely do.
So here, as you can see, we're still in the design phase. It's taking shape. The nose has been more or less finished. They're adding in little details like the seat and the controls. And then as we get closer, sometimes they'll run into problems where, well, we've got the shape down, but there's no features or functions nowhere we can add in this play value. And that's one thing that Lego loves to do is we love to add in little features and functions that allow you to, hide weapons or, carry.
Interact with it in some way.
Exactly.
Make your own stories.
Exactly. So sometimes what happens is when we think we're almost there, we have to go backwards and re-engineer what we're doing. to try to add in those features and functions. So
There has to be a lot of flexibility then down the whole pipeline.
absolutely, it is. It's very, you have to be very agile and adaptable from start to finish. So here what you see is a little white minifigure for a placeholder in there. That's what we use as placeholders for all of our models. And the nose is off, but what they're looking at doing is trying to add in some sort of storage component.
Oh, so you can hide away all the things Ray scavenges from
Exactly.
Jakku. Perfect.
To bring back to that giant hat that she lives in, which I thought was so cool.
Oh, that's my favorite thing.
So here you can see the product designer actually wrote these notes and was like, new design, yeah. It's found one that works. They've added in some hinged panels on the side to create those storage components. And the little inset down there on the left shows you what the skeleton looks like outside of those fairings.
Yeah, it's cool. If I was a kid, that's the first thing I would do is open and be like, what can I fit in here? And I would go rummaging and pretend I was.
And that's exactly how we want everyone to play with our product. It's not meant to just build
If I was a
display.
kid, I'd do it now. Let's be honest.
I have success in that.
Oh, yes. My
All
guys.
right, I know what we're doing, what we're doing here. But again, this is no different than how any of you should be building. Looking at taking a design and trying to find the best way to create that to add in not just some accuracy but some imagination as well. And this is a cool shot. So this shows you Ray Speeder in almost finished form. What I wanted to call out on this was not just like the detailing on the sides, but if you look at the middle speeder, there's a big white brick there. And the one to the left of that has some writing on it. Quite often, to achieve a specific shape or angle, we have to create a new element. We need an element that does not exist. So what we do is we have this team, this team of engineers who have these rapid prototyping machines right in-house. And what these do is they'll take a CAD program, design the element digitally, and then they input it into this machine and it shoots lasers into this liquid, and it creates a hard physical object, a physical piece.
It's like a sci-fi,
it's so cool. It's called rapid prototyping. So what they'll do is they'll rapid prototype these pieces to make sure that they fit. And then that's what you see in the middle there. And then on the left, they'll, as they get a little further along, it's not uncommon to find Lego prototypes with handwriting on them. The designers will go in and mark them. These are in Danish. I have no idea what that says. Even after 18 years, I still can't speak Danish. But you'll see this writing on there, and that tells the engineers and the designers what color that piece is going to be.
At the end, I really like seeing how it is a continual. It's not like a few people put this together and then you do like a QC at the end. It feels like it is constant hands-on throughout.
It is. And that's the final product right there. So,
And that's awesome. I love her.
Yes.
That it comes with her face coverings and her goggles.
and interesting you should mention that, because what I'm about to show you is something that very few people have seen outside the Lego company, and that is some insight into how we design those air pieces and whatnot.
Oh wow!
So what you see here are the actual physical sculpts for Ray's hair and for her head wrap. These are done roughly 3 to 1, so it would be very, very difficult for our product designers to achieve the level of detail that they need sculpting at actual
cool.
size, that tiny, tiny little 1-on-1. So all of the heads and head pieces and hair pieces, they're all sculpted at roughly 3 to 1 actual size using Sculpting. Very,
very fancy.
yeah,
It
if
works.
it was something fancy and expensive, it's not. It's Sculpting. We use Sculpting. So we have some in-house sculptors. Their sole job is to sculpt elements for Lego. And then some of the product designers who are very, very talented like to sometimes take on a project and sculpt their own character head. So yeah, that's what you see here.
It's amazing that you have this all in-house. I mean, having all those resources.
Yeah, we try to keep it all in-house. Very, very little is outsourced outside the company. So here's something pretty cool. Here's everyone's favorite Wookiee.
Who has a Wookiee roar that they're willing to
Let's hear a
just
Wookiee
give it?
roar.
Let's hear it. Anybody does it?
There we go. It's good.
Not bad. Not bad.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Peter Mayhew would be jealous. Yeah, so this is the actual sculpt for the Chewbacca minifigure.
It's really cool to see them side by side. It's one thing to hear 1 to 3, but or 3 to 1, but to see it.
It gives you a really good sense of scale. So you can see he was, sculpted out of that material, and then his bandolier strap was actually done out of white styrene plastic. So those are sculpted individually and then hand applied. And what will happen is, here's another one. Luke X-Wing's pilot, that is the actual sculpt for his helmet, and that was used for all of the Rebel fighter pilot helmets up until a couple of years ago. I think they came up with an updated helmet with a little more detail. This dates back to 1998.
Well, and it's nice that you have some pieces like that in Star Wars where you can sculpt it once and at least have the base and then adjust as needed for characters.
Yep. As the line progresses year over year, we're able to add more elements and more pieces. And what looked great back in 1999 sometimes just doesn't look as fresh and new currently. So we have the opportunity to go back and revisit some of those sculpts and some of those models, and then create new ones that are more accurate.
Can you say, is there like a magical warehouse somewhere where all of these original sculpts are stored for posterity?
Unfortunately, a lot of these are destroyed.
Wow.
We don't.
And everybody just.
We don't like to talk about that, but yeah, it's just they take up a lot of room. And,
that's true. You make a lot of product.
Yeah, we do make a lot of product. Remember that slide I showed you with all those 30 plus lines? Now, this is happening for every single one of those lines. So unfortunately, we can't keep everything. So it is destroyed. But luckily, we have some photographs of stuff like Jabba the Hutt here. So what you see on the left, that clear, moldy white Jabba the Hutt body, that is one of the internally sculpted prototypes. It's a very early one. It's hard to see. Well, actually, you can see at the bottom. Originally, he was designed to just stick right onto like a Lego base plate. But probably in a Lucasfilm approval round, Lucas said, no, that doesn't look good enough. We need to have him look more Jabba-like, his big belly.
More blob-like, please.
More blob-like, slug-like. So they obviously went back in there and created a second version. The figure that you see in the middle there, the red and gray figure, that's a first shot. Those are created off of early molds, and they're usually done in different colored plastics, whatever colored plastic we have laying around, they'll use. So more often than not, when we get early samples for like the product design or the packaging design team, we'll get early samples. A lot of times they have to work with these first shots that aren't very accurate, but they make do. But it looks pretty cool. And then on the right there, I believe that is the final production version of the original Jabba. Now, Jabba was one of the characters that we resculpted. The second version that came out some years ago was an improvement on this one, but at the time, this was Jabba. This was like Jabba.
It's neat to see the evolution of where he started. I definitely see there's more slug, more disgusting slug in the final model, which in this case is what you want. You have to add your own drool, though.
Okay, again, this is something that we don't typically share out, but I wanted to show you what goes on in developing a Lego minifigure decoration. So we have illustrators who work in-house in our product design team who are responsible for designing the decorations or the decos on these minifigures. And what you see here is a deco overview that shows exactly where each decoration will go, what it looks like, and what color it is. And this is also done for the stickers that go on Ray's speeder. You can see that on the left there. And up top, the designers were able to put in some of the photographs that Lucasfilm provided us to them for reference when they were creating these decorations.
So you got a little bit of information to at least, I mean, because how does the color comparison, because it's Lego, I guess, do you use your own color number system, or does it refer to something else like Pantone?
Pantone, they go off of it's PMS colors, I believe, but we have a whole host of unique colors, so those have their own codes. And sometimes we retire those colors. I know a lot of you were probably upset years ago when we went from old gray to new gray, and that created quite a stir in the AFOL community. We were all receiving lots of emails, hate mail. But there's always a reason as to why. Some of those reasons we can't go into. But it's important that these sheets are created for these minifigures so that when they're produced and they're actually silkscreen right on the bodies, that the teams who are creating those are using the right decorations and the right colors. Because believe it or not, they make, I've seen the production of these minifigures, and I don't know the exact rate at which the machines output these, but it's fast. And they're producing these things, they're just banging them out, and then as soon as they're produced, they go onto the silk screen machine where the decorations are printed. So one small mistake could result in
It could add up.
thousands and thousands of incorrect figures. We know Lucasfilm doesn't like that.
No,
So we want to
nobody-
keep our friends at Lucasfilm happy. So,
I think it's a good call on
we
your part.
create these sheets that travel with the projects from start to finish to ensure that everything is produced properly.
Yeah, it's just like a master guide. I can absolutely see it being used all along, all throughout.
What a perfect segue into this master guide. So this looks pretty boring, I guess, but
No.
what this is the element overview of Ray's speeder for the set. This is every single element in the correct color that's used to produce to assemble that set, and that comes in the box. And this again travels from, sometimes designers are working on one vehicle or playset from start to finish. Sometimes they're working on multiples, like transferred off onto something else. So it's very important that a new designer coming into a project has insight into exactly what pieces are used, and that's what these are. So these will travel with that project from start to finish.
This is making me, because when I get my Lego sets, I dump the bags out, in order, of course, but they're just sorted in loose piles, and now I want to get my plates out. And I know that makes more work for me, but look how organized, it makes my little organizing part so happy.
This is about as organized as you can get. And there you go. That's the final product.
Nice. And you totally went to Tunisia, or I'm sorry, to Abu Dhabi, right, to get the product?
Yeah, that's what we actually. It exists.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's some insight into the product development side, and then now I'd like to transition over to packaging. So what you see here, this is an overview of a style guide that Lucasfilm puts together along with us, but sometimes if it's a movie year, they like to take control over what that line looks like. Excuse me. And then in a non-movie year, sometimes they'll work a little bit closer with the licensor licensors to create a line look. But what they're going for is something really cool, fun, fresh, new, exciting, and engaging, but also ensuring that there's consistency, visual consistency across their portfolio. As you know, Star Wars makes more than just Lego. There's lots of other product offerings, toys. For Episode 7, I remember seeing makeup and soup cans in the aisle at grocery store. There's cosplay, there's role-play toys. So we work very closely with Lucasfilm's internal agency to develop a look and feel or a principal design for a specific year.
So it unifies everybody who's making products that year.
Exactly, and they give us these really cool guides that how all of this inspirational material, photographs, like down there in the lower left-hand corner, you can see what we got for Episode 7, Kylo Ren, and up there in the top right-hand corner, and then lower right-hand corner, you can see the principal design for Rogue One. I was working on Star Wars at the time Rogue One was happening, and I can tell you that the principal design went through many, many, many rounds of changes, and what you see here looks absolutely nothing like when it started off.
Well, I can imagine because there's always got to be a balance of, okay, this is what they know what the story is, and maybe can't tell you, versus like Death Troopers, which I believe is what the final, I can tell, they look really cool, and they're a new thing for that movie.
Yep, and it's also challenging because more often than not, what we get for reference material doesn't line up actually happening or changes, so we have to remain, like I said earlier, very agile and go back and try to implement these changes. So a perfect example is, you can see here that Death Troopers' mouthpieces are glowing green.
Yes.
Originally they were designed to do that, but somewhere along the line they decided not to do that. So sometimes it's too late, so we couldn't go back and actually change that. But again, we try to implement changes as often as we can, whenever we can, to ensure that what we're producing looks as accurate to the actual character or vehicle as possible. So that's a little overview of the style guides. And this presentation wouldn't be complete if we didn't touch on all of Lego's very mandatory, structured way of working here. You can see there's an entire booklet on packaging guidelines. There's an entire booklet on Lego minifigure guidelines and how how to, a brand manual on how to ensure that we're properly representing the brand. In the background there, you can see there's a text master for one of the boxes. Everything starts off as a blank white sheet and a text master, and then our designers go to work making those boxes look beautiful. So here's something really cool, again, not often seen outside the company. These are actual sketches that were done by some of our graphic designers and art directors when they were working on a key visual for Rogue One. Excuse me, Rogue One.
I love getting the, especially like in the black and white sketches, the pops of the laser blast and the lightsaber.
They have fun with it. They definitely, you can see that they take it a little bit further and add in that color and those effects. But that's what's beautiful about the creative end of this is, if you're interested in pursuing a career in the toy industry or in the arts field, I say go for it. We have some incredibly talented people working with us at LEGO, actually right up in Enfield, Connecticut, where we're based out of. And having done that myself, I can tell you that it's a great outlet to kind of just explore and take two things that you love, art and Star Wars, and combine it together.
Play.
So yeah. And that's why what we produce looks so great is they have very talented artists, but also hardcore Star Wars fans working on these projects. So what you see here is a original sketch for a key visual, and a key visual is kind of like a poster. It's a main visual that we use to set the look and feel and the tone for that particular product offering or that particular launch wave. And what you see here is some final artwork. So quite a contrast going between sketch phase, layout phase to final
To
art.
like finished, polished. Yeah, that's incredible to see. And I like how each one, not only shows off your wonderful products and the passion people put into them, but each of the key art you create, the key visuals, they're about storytelling too.
It is.
It's not just like, here's this product.
Yeah, there's so much more than just product. It's about storytelling. It's about role play. It's about engaging. It's about exploring and being creative and recreating Star Wars as it happens on film, but creating your own stories and your own battles. And that's what we try to do with LEGO.
It's awesome.
And like I mentioned earlier, this is literally where every single LEGO package starts, a blank white slate. And if you can't tell, that's the front panel, that's the side panel. We've got a back panel there, you wouldn't know it's a back panel unless we wrote back panel, because you could confuse it with the front panel. But this is where everything starts. And then you'll have a sketch phase for the boxes. You'll have designers sit down and they'll do some creative brainstorming sessions where they get in a room, they lock themselves in there, put on some cool music, and just start drawing. And they'll do that for a couple days. They'll just go in there and they'll have the product in front of them and they'll look at it at different angles, try to determine which angle is best for that particular product, how it's going to fit on the front of the box. There's lots of information on the front of the box, like logos and warnings and whatnot. So they have to work around that. And then you have the principal design, which takes up some room. So in the end, once all of that is laid out, you're left with roughly half of the real estate you're starting
So yeah,
with.
there's a lot of elements just by default that are always there.
Absolutely. And then, again, sometimes if you're trying to you're shooting an X-Wing, you want the box to be landscape. You wouldn't want the box to be portrait because if you're taking...
You're cutting off that.
Exactly. So
That's what you said.
They'll work on this for a good couple days to a week or two, depending on how big the portfolio is.
And you did mention you lock them in a room, but they get food, they get breaks. Hopefully, no judgment, they turn out really good product.
We did. We definitely got breaks. Not many, but they gave us breaks. Actually, we didn't want breaks. We loved doing it. It was an awesome job, and I really do miss the creative side. But anyway, what we have here is a screen grab of what happens once we have that angle that we like. The sketches will turn into a rough layout, and to speed up the process, the old way of doing it, back when I was doing it, is you'd have these really early rough conceptual models and these hand-painted minifigures, and we go into a photo studio, we have to shoot pictures and light everything, and get those pictures, import them into our computers, and go in and manually cut out that image. It was a very, very time-consuming process. What we do now is all of our layouts are done in Maya, which is a 3D rendering program. This is a screenshot of, whoops, sorry about that. Let's jump right in there. Spoilers. What you see here is a screen grab of what that program looks like. It's not easy to use, but we have a team of dedicated Maya 3D illustrators who are very, very, they're trained in Maya. And that's what they do is we'll give them the sketches, and then they'll take the product in digital form, and then turn it and rotate it and kind of zoom in and zoom out. They'll create a rough layout.
When by doing that, I mean just having that with digitally, you can get to so many different angles that were probably a little trickier when you did it by hand.
Yeah, and it really speeds up the process if you know how to use Maya, which is
that,
why
that seems like a tricky thing.
I've tried it. It's difficult. So while that's happening, this next slide here shows you some of our backgrounds. We have a team of illustrators, and this is, in some cases, this is where we freelance some work out to dedicated illustrators who create these backgrounds for us. More often than not, Lucasfilm is not able to provide us with final backgrounds for these environments because they're not finished creating them yet. They're still in development. We're all working, alongside one another trying to develop this. So if it doesn't exist, we have to create it.
So you have to kind of be vague while pulling in elements that hopefully will be relevant.
Hopefully. Everything, again, there's constant rounds of approval of Lucasfilm. They're seeing this at every stage of the process to ensure that it's accurate to the film and the Star Wars universe. So these are some backgrounds that were created for a variety of different boxes. And then in the lower right-hand corner, what you see is Darth Vader's transformation.
Nice, and I like about these that they're really well rendered, but they hit that line between photorealistic and, because you want them to be in the LEGO world.
Exactly, you want to complement the product, but you don't want to take away from the product. So, yeah, finding that right balance is key. So, what you see here is I would say this is probably second round layout, ready for Lucas approval for product, for Lucasfilm to comment on the product on the box. On the front panel there, you can see the main shot of Darth Vader's transformation. There's a minifigure call out down there in the lower left-hand corner that shows the minifigures that come in the set. And then on the back of the box, you'll see an alternate view of the set as well as call-outs, which call out all the different features and functions. And I have to say the product designers did an amazing job building features and functions into this small little set. You can actually, it's really cool. You can take Anakin, you place him on there, and you lay him down, and rotate this wheel that flips Anakin over, and I emphasize it's Darth Vader, and then there's this lever that comes and puts Darth's helmet on his head.
That's
and
awesome.
Then stand him up, you can recreate that
Good.
scene.
That's much better.
That's one of my favorites.
That's really cool. I especially like the part where they put on like the lever that puts on Vader's helmet, because that is such an iconic moment.
It is, it really is, and those guys were able to make that happen here, and we want to call it out on the box. We want to make sure that that's called out there. So that's what the back panel is meant to do.
So that has to be a challenge too, because you want to bring immediate, and like when people pick up the box, you want to call their eyes immediately to, okay, you can do this, this, and this.
The front panel of the box is meant to, that's the selling point. That's what consumers see in the stores. We want it to pop, we want it to catch our attention. But there's so much more than that one shot. There's these features and functions, all the playability that's in these sets. So that's what we use the back panel for, is to communicate that to the consumer. And then, of course, as with any package, there's comments coming from marketing. Now I'm in marketing, it feels weird saying that, but I'm my own worst enemy. Given there could be lots of comments. Sometimes comments contradict prior comments. Sometimes they're asking for different colors. Sometimes they're asking for more, a bit of a different angle. Sometimes there's not enough effects. Sometimes there's too many effects. We didn't make this is all real. Christina would probably be very upset if she knew I was sharing this with you, but keep that in the
secrets. What happens in the room.
And there's more. After all of these rounds and comments and more comments, more rounds. We finally get to
Good job, guys.
Thank goodness you toned down that lens flare.
It's amazing how many rounds of changes one small little package can go through. And you'd think that these smaller sets would just breeze through, and like some, they don't.
Just as much as the bigger sets probably sometimes, right?
Yeah, back in the day, I remember I actually designed the packaging for the collector series Millennium Falcon. And that was like one of the highlights of my time working on the Star Wars license. But I got to design that box, and I believe that one sailed through internally and through Lucasfilm approval like in 1 or 2 rounds, which was
That's amazing. But were you kind of just waiting to be like, this is going too well? Like,
yeah,
that's
I
awesome.
worked
Yeah.
a lot. You never know what's going to come back, both from the PMD product design team and also from the Lucasfilm side. So yeah, but that one went straight through. And what you see here is, so while all of our layouts are done in Maya in 3D, we still feel that shooting them in real life is the best way to represent the product on the front of the box. So what you see here,
Yeah, of course, it makes sense. What you see is then what you are getting.
exactly.
What you put together.
Yeah, and so what you see here is, again, this is not something we typically share out with the general public, but the shot in the lower left is a studio that we use up in Atwater, Massachusetts. We've been using them for 15, almost 20 years now. These guys are amazing photographers. They will shoot all of our Star Wars product for us. These guys are using cameras, digital cameras, where just the back of the camera costs like $150,000. And some of those lenses can be upwards of like $25,000.
I'd be so scared to walk around in there.
Yeah, that's a hassle, guy.
But what's really funny is that like some of the methods and techniques they use to get the lighting down are like just low budget and like kind of, just
Like kind of hack
yeah.
solutions.
Like in the center there, you can see we're actually using Lego elements, like with the ball and cup, to position the minifigures at just the right angle we want.
So it's whatever works.
Yeah, whatever
you have
works.
lying around.
Yeah, and then vellum, they use vellum to wrap the product. That's how we get that really nice. I'm probably giving away like tips and tricks here. I'm going to get an
Okay,
email or
they're
something.
keeping
But,
everything secret.
yeah, but if you look at that Tri-Fighter up there in the top left-hand corner, like that's how they get that really cool soft glow.
It diffuses the light a little, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I always like how, you can have the fanciest technology in the world, and clearly they do, but it marries so well with things like, I don't know, paper clips or whatever you have.
Yep. Yep. So there's a little behind the scenes shot for you. And then you got the final box. So that's a rough overview of everything that goes into designing packaging. Thought I'd show you guys this too. This is the principal design. Once we start with, I mentioned earlier that we worked with this film to get principal design. This is what a box starts off looking like, and then that's what it looks like in the end.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting to see how they work around the things that are on every box.
Yep.
Wow.
Cool. So we'll wrap up. We're right on time. We'll wrap up with some content, 3D design here. I could spend an entire day taking you through what is involved in creating content, animated content for Lego. So what we thought we'd do is give you a quick rundown on where it all starts off. And everything starts with a brief, but once we have that, the designers have that brief, and a brief will list out which products we want to focus on, how we want those products to interact, which ones we want to build, which figures we want to show. They'll start off with storyboard. So what you see here are hand-drawn storyboards for a TV commercial for some of our Rogue One products that came out just last year. And having worked on TV commercials, I can tell you this is a lot of fun, because this allows you to kind of sit down and actually get back to drawing like by hand. So much of what we did was on computers that it's great to be able to sit down with a pen and paper and just kind of start drawing out. So that's what you see here. We have storyboard artists that we use, and we also have some external people that we outsource work to if capacity becomes an issue, but we try to keep everything in-house. So This was done by one of our internal art directors, and as you can see, each frame here takes you through that TV commercial from start to finish.
I like seeing the storyboards laid out like that. It's always fun. I like seeing the scarab too. I'm like, oh, I see that palm tree.
It's such a good movie.
Right? I like
I watched it on the plane down to Orlando.
Oh, nice.
Let's see if this is hung up here. Okay, there we go. So, once you have the storyboard phase, you get that approved through marketing. Eventually, it all gets approved, and then we send it off to Lucasfilm, and they'll take a look at it. And sometimes they'll have some comments and want to make some changes. But once all of that is done, we go in and we do what's called blocking. This is all done digitally, so we will do a 3D block animatic of the TV commercial, and then this is what we use to create the storyboards, which then go to the studio where this is all filmed. And I can tell you again that is one of the coolest things you'll ever see.
I can only imagine.
Is being on set and working with these producers and cameramen, and actually watching something that you've worked on from storyboard phase to actually play out in real life. It takes anywhere between 3 to 5 days of full working days to shoot a TV commercial, and the amount of work that goes into creating these is amazing and impressive. So when you see these 30-second television commercials on TV, just know that there's like hundreds and sometimes thousands of hours that go into bringing you these 30-second spots. And then, of course, when you're talking long-form content, that's sometimes months or years in the making.
Yeah, and it involves a lot of manpower, a lot of people.
It does. So, what I plan on showing you here originally was just the Rogue One TV commercial I just took you through. But this morning, Amy and I sat down and we were talking. We thought it'd be pretty cool to show you guys something really, really new and fresh, something that no one else has seen before, something exclusive. So instead of a boring old TV commercial you can go on YouTube and see, we have something very special lined up for you.
Yeah, so I'm going to set this up. I'm going to ask you to please not record it.
Hello, Steve from Orlando. Welcome, everyone. My question to you is, do you have a favorite concept that never made it to final production?
I do, and it hasn't yet made it to production, so I can't tell you what it is, because I'm pushing very, very hard to get this through, but if it happens, it's going to be awesome. It'll be an ultimate collector series model, I'll tell you that much.
Hi, my name is Brandon. How many copies do you have produced when you're ready to roll out to the retail stores, or is that proprietary?
Copies?
Copies of sets.
Well, yeah, without getting too deep into that, we work closely with our retailers to determine how many sets we think we're going to sell for every line, and then that's a very, very in-depth, detailed, and to be honest, boring process. But there's entire teams of people who work on forecasting and distribution to determine how much of each set is going to be produced and sold.
How do you guys determine how many extra pieces come in a box? It seems like there's never any rhyme or reason, and I have like 30 little tiny caps and 1x1s and stuff that I really need to know.
The $1 million question. Believe it or not, ideally we'd like there to be no extra pieces, but we'd rather have there be extra than not enough, because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to build a set and then 3/4 of the way through, like, oh shoot, this one piece I need isn't here. So everything is done, every set is weighed on these very, very, very sensitive scales on the production line. And I mean, I'm talking, they pick up like the smallest little, these scales will be able to tell you if one small round 1x1 brick is not in the box. So that we use scales to ensure that the set is complete.
Hi, I think arguably the best part about the sets are the minifigs, because they're the ones that have all the personality to it. And last year you guys released the wildly popular Disney minifig series, which Do we have any hope for a future Star Wars minifigure series?
I'm actually now the manager of the minifigure line. I'm the business manager for that. The short of it is no, and that's because we're a construction toy offering. Hasbro has the license for action figures, and because minifigures could kind of fall into a, action figure type figure offering, we want to ensure that any Star Wars sets that we do involve building. So I wouldn't plan on seeing any blind bag Star Wars minifigure sets.
Yes, I was wondering why you guys decide to change the colors of certain minifigures, such as the Han jacket for Hoth is blue in the movies, and the latest minifigure, it's brown.
Believe it or not, it's actually brown in the movies. I always thought it was blue too, but the official Lucasfilm verdict on that is it's actually brown. So I've been wrong all these years, but Lego's got it wrong, and now we've got it right.
Will there be power functions in the minifig scale sets anytime soon?
Probably not in the minifigures, but we are looking at doing a lot more with power functions to bring those toys to life.
I would really like to learn how to make Legos.
You would? You want to work from Lego? Want to work for Lego someday? You want to work for Lego someday? Well, that's cool. Maybe we can talk after this is over. Are you a big Lego Star Wars fan? You are. Well, I'll tell you what. I've got something special for you. Where's my daughter Natalie? I love that question, and because it was so good, we're going to give you a little something special. This is one of our numbered exclusive sets that we've been giving away. And if you want to talk about working for Lego, we can talk after this. So come find me at the Lego booth. Is that out of time?
We have time for a couple more questions.
Couple more questions.
Yeah, I feel the Star Wars Lego brand has the most personality and likeness to the products that it's modeled off of.
Thank you.
Is that something your team researches and works on, or that Lucasfilm comes in and keeps an eye on?
It's a joint effort. We ensure that Lucasfilm is looped in from the very beginning all the way to the end to ensure that what we're creating is as accurate as possible to the actual Star Wars universe, the characters, the vehicles, the play sets, and all that. So there's a very, very close working relationship with Lucasfilm.
Okay, one more question.
All right, last question.
In your opinion, what was the best accomplishment you ever had?
Best accomplishment I ever had? Wow, that's a great question. I would say following my dreams and pursuing a career in the toy industry, because that's what I wanted to do since I was a little kid your age. And it took a lot of hard work, a lot of support from my family, a lot of long nights, but I did it, and I'd say that sticking to it and following my dreams would be the biggest accomplishment. That's a great question. Thank you very much.